From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and it is time for the NFL Bet Exchange with none other than the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, on the East Coast, and I'm over here on the West Coast. And we're gonna make it do the most with that big champagne toast for you guys. Once again, this week we've had ourselves another pretty good week this week. Well, Jeff had a great week this week. He had a winning week. I had an even week. I went 8-8. Jeff went 9-6-1. Now we are officially tied in the wins category. I still don't know how I got 87 losses. He got 85 wins, but we'll figure it out. I had to go back and try to fix everything, but I think we're pretty much on the same page right now. But we both are in the we're tied for this winning thing, and we got 3 more weeks left to go in the season as well too. So we have that. Jeff, what was your favorite spot this week in the NFL for Week 15?
My favorite spot. I thought the Browns were set up in a real nice spot against the Ravens. That was one on Sunday. I tell you, I thought my actual dog of the day that we released at ECSI was the Titans. They missed field goal. Tannehill took a sack and put him, instead of a 44-yarder, into a 53-yarder. He missed it. So they ended up covering there. The Raiders-Patriots was comical, obviously, and I think I happened to land on the Raiders by luck there. But again, the obvious is never the obvious for us, Pops, and vice versa. When it looks too good, it usually is too good. And I guess I'll close with this: is everyone looked at how bad Tua looked in sunny old LA the week before. He looked damn pretty good in cold snowball Buffalo on Saturday night, Pops.
Yeah, he truly did. And I had a feeling that's why I had to take him with the +7. But I told you on the show, I don't see him winning, but I do see them keeping it much closer than everybody assumed they would, because this game was a big game for them. It was a big game towards actually still winning the division as well, too. I think that dreams actually is pretty much sailed since pretty much after that game. And it's crazy because I told a lot of people what was going to happen with the Bills on the way out, and it looks like the Bills are going to maybe have that come to fruition as well, too. They still do have a matchup with New England that isn't something that they can overlook, but they are in prime position right now to finish the season 14-13. I think that's absolutely incredible. I think the best spot for me this weekend, if we're going to talk about them right now, was the Jaguars. Thank you, Jaguars, because I knew that they was going to pop them Cowboys, because, Cowboys fans are so funny that they're always so ready to just quit on their team. And they just didn't want to understand that, it's a tough out when you play against the Texans, who are your interstate rival and who have pretty much have been built up to hate you with a passion, to be exact. You know what I mean? Because they really don't like this team. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Jaguars 6-8, Jets 7-7. We have ourselves 2 teams that are going damn near in 2 different directions right now. You have a Jaguars team that's playing some of their best football of the season right now, Jeff. And then you have a Jets team that's falling apart. I have notes today, Jeff. I'm just not freestyling it. Jags this is their first primetime and only primetime game of the season. Then that they're 6-8 against the spread. Against the spread and straight up, they're 2-5 on the road. Against the spread and straight up as an underdog, they're 6-5 against the spread and straight up versus the AFC. They're 5-4. That is significant because that does play into the final playoff spot as well, too, if these teams all get tied up here at the end of the season. So this is a critical game for Jacksonville as well, too, to win. Now, over under, they've had 14 games. They went over in 8 of them. That's kind of a surprise. A lot of us did not expect the Jaguars to be a high-scoring team this year. But on the road this year, Jeff, in their 7 games, they've went over 6 out of those 7 games. That's absolutely incredible. Now, the Jets, 6-3 start to start the year. Everybody was so surprised by that. And since that point, the Jets have been absolutely dreadful, sir. They're 1-5. They dropped their last 4 out of 5, and they have dropped their last 3 in a row to be exact. So the Jets are going through the motions right now. They would really, really like to somewhat get a breather on losing at this point, but looks like Zach Wilson's back on the back as the starter as well too. They're 8-6 against the spread this year. Also against the spread and straight up at home, they're 3-4. They're 2-1 as favorites against the spread and straight up against the AFC this year. They're 5-5, but against the spread against the AFC, they're 6-4. They've had 14 games. They went under 9 of those games, and then they've went under in 5 out of their 7 home games this year. Now, what I'm putting here is I'm going to be dead honest with you. I think that this is going to be the Jets' last hope, and so they're going to throw everything out there that should help their team win this game, in my opinion. But the Jaguars, as I just said, they're playing some of their best football of the year, just simply because they're hungry and teams are not taking them as seriously as they should. They've won their last 3 out of 4, and then you have the Jets, who pretty much have just since the bye. They're just bad, man. They've lost 3 in a row, and it just doesn't seem like it's getting better. But the games were so close, Jeff, at the same time too. So I'm taking the Jets to go ahead and win this game on Thursday night, because it's both teams only have one Thursday night, only have one national game this year. That's unbelievable. Neither one of them had a game on Monday Night Football. They're supposed to get everybody a game on Monday night. So pretty much this one to me is a game that has Jets written all over it for the winner, in my opinion, because they need this. Both teams need it badly, but the Jets literally are out the playoffs if they lose this game.
The Jags are the NFC version or the AFC version, vice versa, of the Lions. The Lions have 6-1 straight up their last 7, covered their last 7. Now, who's hotter than a firecracker in the AFC but your Jaguars, who, as we were getting ready for the intro, came across Tannehill downgraded to doubtful, so Malik will get the start against the Texans, which we'll get to. Must win for both teams. Now, I did the same thing as you. I took the Jets in the money line. This is Custard's last stand. Would I be shocked if the Jaguars won? No, of course I wouldn't. They're playing great ball. Trevor Lawrence has taken that next step. Going back to that Sunday game you talked about, just poor, pitiful coaching. Dallas has the ball. Run the ball, timeout. Run the ball, timeout. You got it 3rd and 10. You're not going to get the first down. Run the ball to make them use their last timeout. They throw an incomplete pass. The rest is history. Jets, Custard's last stand, Pops. The under-over in that game is 37/38, 21-17 Jets.
All right, so there we are. Jeff is on the Jets. I'm on the Jets. So we have a unanimous situation there going with the Jets. Now we have ourselves the Bears and the Bills. And Jeff, you know what? I'll let you take the floor first since I did all that talking with the numbers. But then I'll have some numbers for y'all again. But I'm going to let Jeff take the floor on this one first.
Buffalo, 11-3 as Pops has in front of us. A 3-11 Bears team. Bears put up a good battle last week against Philly. It was one of those I talked about. Justin wanted to be Jalen next year, and he needs a lot of pieces to become Jalen, but it was a good effort. Buffalo Saturday night, 32-29 winner against the Dolphins in the Snowball Fest. Bills, as much as it looks like they got the number 1 seed, they still have to travel to Cincinnati. I think it is in week 16. They got the Pats next week, and then I think they got Cincinnati. So that could be some big implications there. I'm riding them out. I said in August, I said in September, this is the team to beat. I like where they're going. I just wish I could see what's the difference between the Bills and the Bengals. The Bengals can move the chains on the ground, whether it is The running back there, oh my God, I got brain cramps here. They two-headed monster of P. Ryan and Mixon. Well, Buffalo has finally got the rookie involved, Cook. They got Singletary, but they don't lean on that. It's more Josh Allen. It's his legs. It's throwing the ball. That could come back to haunt them come the playoff drive. But we bought the hook. We got the Bills -8. It's an under over of where can I get that, Pops? 40 and a hook, looking for a low scoring game. I'll go 23-13 Buffalo, Pups.
Well, at least you got a number that makes sense. I saw somebody put out 24-19. I said, when the hell do they score 19 points in an NFL game? Like, they do that maybe once a year. Like, that's so bad. Like, I understand that you're trying to be Chris Berman and everything like that, but come on, dude. And the funny part it was I don't want to get all what you call it, but it was an NFL Network personality. Wasn't one of the fellas either. You know, what you call it. So you know how it goes. But I'll just leave that there, Jeff. I'll just leave it there. What you call it? Pining for attention. All right. So these are my notes, Jeff. Bills are awesome, dude. Top 5 in points scored, top 5 in top 2 in points allowed per game. They're only giving up 17 points a game. That's incredible. I can't believe they're not number 1 in yards. They're getting 410 a game. They're right behind Philadelphia in that category. Then you got 7th in passing, 8th in rushing, and that's incredible because it's your quarterback that's doing all this for you. And then 3rd down efficiency, they're number 2 in that category. And this is what keeps them alive on the other side is 11th in sacks and 7th in interceptions. And then you got Josh Allen, who has 30 touchdowns on the year passing. That's passing, Jeff, and 6 running. So that's 36 overall. And he's about 150 some odd. He's 140 yards, 43 yards away from another 4,000 yard season. But that 109 carries is something you really have to look at and say, we got to kind of limit that before we get to the playoffs. Now, the Bills have won 5 in a row after their 2-game skid. They were really getting written off. Remember, Jeff? They were like, well, I don't know. It might be the Dolphins winning it. It might be the Jets winning it. In the East is going to be trouble. It's not trouble anymore. So, so they're 6-2 since their bye as well, too. So, and they started the season on 5-1. They're 11-3. So, there hasn't been any like hiccup to what this team is doing this year. They're 6-7-1 against the spread. And this is against the spread literally everywhere. So pretty much they've been a favorite in every single game. So 6-7-1 against the spread as a favorite as well, too. Now, on the road, they are 5-2, Jeff. And then as a favorite, as I said before, they have not been a favorite. They're 11-3 in that category. Versus the NFC this year, they're 3-1. That one loss coming to Minnesota, we all saw that game. On the road, they're 3-1 against the spread. But this is a crazy stat. Against the NFC this year, they're 1-3 against the spread, Jeff. And then when it comes down to over and unders, in their 14 games, they've went under 10 times. That's kind of surprising for a team that's a top offensive team that they've went under in 10 of their in majority of their games. Now, when it comes to being on the road, every single one of their games on the road is went under, but they do play with a different mentality on the road. I haven't even seen them give up like over 20 points on the road yet. You know what I mean? So they have 7 road games, 7 unders, Jeff. Now, the Bears, I don't know how this team is still – their fans are the most positive fans I've ever seen for a 3-11 team. Like, literally, they're not talking about throwing the whole franchise away. They're like really with the plan right now in Chicago, Jeff. Like, that's amazing because Chicago is not one of those places. Chicago thinks that they're a Super Bowl contender every year. They have that Raider Cowboy mentality, their fan base that, that they got a shot. You know what I mean? Because, they're the Bears. And so the Bears have lost 7 in a row. They're 1-10 since a 2-1 start. That's dreadful, Jeff. You start the season 2-1. And we did have some positive thoughts about Chicago. And then it was like, well, those positive thoughts went to the left. And this team has won one game since week 7. The last time they won was week 7 against the Patriots. Now they're 5-8-1 against the spread. Not surprised by that because they've covered a lot of games this year. Now, when it comes to being a home team, they're 2-5 at home this year. Both their wins coming at home. Not both their wins, but their significant wins early in the year came at home. Then against the AFC, they're 2-2. Against the spread at home, they're 3-1, and then they're 5-7 against the spread as an underdog. That's really good going into this game. And then you're 2-1 against the spread versus the AFC. Now, when it comes to over-unders in their 14 games, they've went over 9 times. No surprise there because their defense is absolutely dreadful. But Justin Fields always figures out a way to score some points. And in their 7 home games this year, they've went over in 4 of those games, Jeff. I'm going to just make this real easy on all of us because I've already done enough talking about this game. Pretty much there's not much more else to say, but the Bills roll. So I'm going to take this 8.5, and we'll just walk on down the road with that, Jeff. This team wins by 10 or better. 2 touchdowns, in my opinion, to be honest, even though this is a tricky situation because the Bears have seemed to show up against all the good teams in the NFL this year. But that doesn't matter. They didn't show up to win the game, so who cares? The only team they have that advantage over are the 49ers, and that was because the weather helped you in that situation. There's just nothing more to it. They weren't going to win that day without the weather helping. I don't know, though. I don't know because Trey Lance wasn't all that day, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And then he had a good game against the Texans or somebody who wasn't good. And then he was hurt. It's just that simple. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. We got the Titans who are absolutely just sinking right now, Jeff. This is terrible to see with this team is that, they were like quietly, like really killing it. Nobody was saying anything about it because we kind of figured that it's the Titans. They're going to figure out any way to mess this thing up. So pretty much we got a 1-12 team going at a 7-7 team. And it's crazy how things have changed for this Titans team. We'll get to them in a second, but Texans have lost 9 in a row, Jeff, since getting their first win of the year, which was right before their bye week. That doesn't always work out where you get a win before the bye or you lose and then you get a win right out the bye and then you just sorry after that. Like the Texans have been awful like all season, but not awful in the sense to where they play bad. They're awful in the sense to where their record's bad. But this team is probably the hardest fighting 1-12 team I've ever seen, Jeff, because I've seen teams only have 1 win and they've been absolutely dreadful. Like they don't even get off the bus. Like they're literally running with the taxi squad. Not the Texans, though. They actually have this idea like they're in a playoff race. Like seriously, last 2 weeks, like, dude, what are you playing for? Like you hired Lovie Smith. You never believed in anything you were going to do this year. Okay, so I said they're 6-7-1 against the spread. Okay. And that's as an underdog too, Jeff, because everything has been as an underdog. They haven't been a favorite one time this year, okay? Now they're 1-6 on the road, and they are 1-12-1 as a dog this year straight up. Then against the division, peep this, Jeff, they're 1-1-1. That's golden right there. Then they are 3-3-1 against the spread this year, and then they're 2-1 against the spread versus their division. Now, when it comes down to over and unders for the total season, 14 games, 7 unders, 7 overs. Now, when it comes down to being on the road, they've had 7 games, and they've went under in 4 of those games. Now, the Titans come in here, losers of their last 4 in a row, and they have they're 4-5 since their bye week, and that was after a 3-2 start. Jeff, they had a 3-game winning streak riding into the bye, and literally they were able to win. I think they went on another streak after that as well too. They started off pretty good, and then they just have fallen apart since that point. They're 3-3 against the spread straight up at home. They're 4-2 against the spread and straight up as a favorite. They're 3-1 against the spread and straight up versus division. Now, in their 14 games, they've went under 9 times. In their 6 home games, they've went under 4 times. Now, when I see this, I think that Malik Willis, they've been begging for Malik Willis to come out to be their starter for the last few weeks. I think the Tannehill era is pretty much over with, to be honest with you. But I know that Vrabel is probably on the way out. It doesn't matter of them making the playoffs, things like that. Is he going to get fired? Is he going to resign? What's he going to do? All I know is that he'll be somebody else's coach next season because I think he's about done with these guys. But I'm going to be dead honest with you, Jeff. I know that literally the Texans probably are the smarter play here, but I'm about to be a little ignorant. And I'm going to go ahead and take the Titans this week because I think that Malik Willis has himself a game, and he looked really good against the Chiefs of all teams. So I think that if he can duplicate that same effort, they can go ahead and beat the Texans like they did a few weeks back when they beat them 17-10. But they really dominated them in that game as well, too, because the Texans didn't get anything until late in that game. But I do like the Titans going into this bad boy. And the crazy part about it was the Titans were a 1-point favorite going into that game. So Vegas hasn't believed in this team all season. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, as we said, it looks like the Malik will start. Tannehill will be either out or be the backup. The line is dropped now to 5. We were cute. We basically bought the half point. We took them to a flat 7 under over here of 37. So basically, in a nutshell, 23-17 is about where they see this. Actually, a little less than that. So for me, Texans have been scrappy the last 2 weeks in Dallas, and then obviously this past week against the Chiefs. Basically have the number 1 pick wrapped up. Now assume they're going quarterback shopping, but we'll see there. Hoping for a competitive game, Pops. I'm rooting for Malik, to be honest with you. I'd like to see him do well. As for Vrabel, yes, he wasn't happy when the GM was fired. Heard he is a little PO'd. If he was to leave, he'd get scooped up in 2 seconds. So, but let's grab the Texans plus the 7 and move on.
And you look at Vrabel and you'd be like, he would go straight to Carolina after this. He probably would be straight, and he would be, I would promise you, he'd probably become Carolina's coach immediately. But I'm hearing grumblings right now that they are interested in maybe making a trade for Mike Tomlin at the end of the year.
Who?
The Panthers. That's wild.
No one as a Pittsburgh Steelers coach ever moves on. You just either die or you retire.
Well, I think I hate to say it, but I think Tomlin's going to be the first one where he leaves Pittsburgh and he's going to coach another team.
All right.
And that's a crazy streak too, Jeff, because they've had their last 3 coaches, retire as Steelers head coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's consistency right there. That's the only team that can say in the last 50 years that they've only hired 3 coaches.
Yep.
And everybody say, well, you should take a page out of their book. Well, maybe because the Pittsburgh Steelers just kind of understand that you're not going to win a Super Bowl every year, but as long as you can keep the fans thirsty for your team, you should be good as a coach. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. All right, so we got Seahawks Chiefs, Jeff. 7-7 for the Seahawks. Chiefs are 11-3 coming into this game. Once again, Seahawks are kind of going through the same mess that the Titans are going through, where you played so good in the first half, and then the bye came, and then all of a sudden you're not good anymore. So they're 1-3 since their bye week, but they've dropped their last 4 out of 5 since their 6-3 start to the season, and they were comfortable. I think they were even leading the NFC West at that point in time when they were 6-3. So yeah, they were, Jeff. And so now they're 6-8 against the spread. They're 4-2 on the road straight up. And then against the spread and straight up as a dog, they are 5-4 this year. Now, when it comes down to being a road underdog, they're 3-2 against the spread and straight up. Now, versus the AFC this year, they're 2-1 versus the conference against the spread and straight up. On the road, they're 3-3 against the spread. And then in their 14 games, they went over 8 times. And then when it comes down to being on the road, they went over in 5 out of 6 games. So this Seattle team, to me, is coming in here looking to, put some points on the board, but they're probably going to get scored on a lot as well too. But I think that Chiefs are just right now might be due for a loss, Jeff. They're 6-1 since the bye. They're 5. They started off the season 5-2. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Also, they're 4-9-1 against the spread. They are awful against the spread this year. Now, when it comes down to being a home team, straight up, they're 5-1. As a favorite, they're 10-2. As a home favorite, they're 5-0, perfect record. 4-0 versus the NFC, looking to go ahead and sweep the board, as I like to say, the whole NFC this year. You know what I mean? Even though, we both know the NFC West was absolutely like dreadful this year, to be honest with you. It was bad. Other than San Francisco and Seattle. Then you have 1-4-1 against the spread at home, 3-8-1 against the spread as a favorite. Then they're 1-3-1 against the spread as a home favorite this year, 3-0-1 versus the NFC against the spread. They are even in their 14 games when it comes to the over and under, and they've actually went under in 5 out of 6 of their home games this year. So when I look at this one, I say to myself that I trust Seattle to bring their best foot forward because this game is their season right here, Jeff. I'm going to be dead honest with you because if they fall off right here, then they really just open up the door now for the Lions. And I know that everybody wants the Lions in the playoffs, and this right here could be the first steps of them possibly getting in the playoffs because I'll keep it real with you. The Giants are not a lock to get into the playoffs. Even though they beat the Commanders, they possibly could go to the left right now for that team because really they are on a slippery slope. Let's keep it real about the Giants. But the Seahawks, they really can't afford to lose. So they're going to be playing this game like it's like it's pretty much their Super Bowl, their Pro Bowl, their every bowl. You know what I mean? The Mayo Bowl, the Rose Bowl, all the bowls. So I'll take the +9.5 with the Seahawks.
The Chiefs, I was on the show this morning with a guy from Kansas City, and we're just talking about the Chiefs, and it's almost like they're playing grab-ass football, meaning you get into the ring if you were in a boxing match, that I'm going to beat you, Pops. It's just, do I want to really press and beat you in the first 2 rounds? Or do I want to play some cat and mouse? Do I want to hit, work on my jab, work on, some footwork? And I have no problem, going it to the 6th or 7th round. I think the Chiefs are just like that. They know that they're going to win. They're better than most of the teams that they play. And it shows. And Mahomes is making mistakes again. I think you're spot on with a lot of your takes there. But with that said, I also think the tarnish and the Geno run is over. I think the injuries are starting to catch up to him. Is Walker going to play? Is he not going to play? I think the Chiefs take care of business. They have not been covering. To lay the -9 like that we're going to do, wouldn't be shocked if they won by 7. Wouldn't be shocked if they won by 3 or 4, a late Geno touchdown. I think the Chiefs win the game. I think that's the right side. Do they cover the game is the question. Still an outside possibility of them catching the one spot, but it would take a couple losses by the Bills and another loss by Cincinnati. So for that, they need to keep winning. So we'll take a swing, Chiefs -9, Pops.
All right. And you know why I'm not taking the Chiefs this week? They just been blowing money, bro. I just can't do it. Jeff. And I know everybody's like, you always picking on the Chiefs. You always talking about bad about the Chiefs. Well, I didn't talk bad about them damn near losing to the Texans. Like, you don't go to overtime with the Texans, but it's all good because the Cowboys damn near did the same thing too. And that's just because the Texans don't die. They roaches. They just won't go away. Seriously. All right. So with that, we're going to take our first commercial break. And when we get back, we'll jump into some more Oh yeah, and I forgot to say it was Christmas Eve for these games as well too. Sorry. So pretty much we'll be back with these games. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And let's go ahead and jump into our next game. And Jeff, I'll let you go ahead and take the honors. You can kick it off for us with the Giants and the Vikings.
Short week here for the Giants. Big win for them on Sunday night against their opponents in division, that is the Commanders. Now 47 and a half for the 3.5 right now, Pops. The Vikings coming off the greatest comeback in NFL history, down 33-0. They come all the way back to beat Matt Ryan and the Colts. Listen, the Vikings just keep winning. They're going to be the 2 seed most likely. With that said, I like where the Giants are. I'm going to take the points. What did we do here? We took the 4. We bought the half point, took them up to 4 minus the 120. Expect a close game. It's 47.5, 48. I got a late second field goal by the G-Men. 24-23, Pops. Upset special.
All right, so Jeff got the +4 on the Giants. I like that, man. I like that a lot. You know what? I'm looking at these numbers right now, and you know what? When you really look at the Giants, you say to yourself, why am I even dealing with the Giants? This is the fall-off point for the Giants. What are we doing here? Yeah, so what? They beat the Commanders last week. This is going to be a tough game for them because you got a Minnesota team really chasing something right now, right? No, Minnesota has already pretty much solidified themselves. They've already won their division. They're already in the playoffs. They don't really have much to play for but seeding. And we all know that literally they're only shooting for who's going to be the third or the second seed. They're going to be at home in the playoffs. They're going to get a home game. They've already taken care of their business. So the Giants are a team that's actually chasing the playoffs at this point. And when you look at the Giants over the last 7 weeks, you say to yourself, can I trust this team? You know, they were 6-2, and then they wound up. And then we get to the bye, and this team has went 2-3-1. You know what I mean? And you had to understand they did lose going into the bye as well, too. So these losses weren't good losses either. They got absolutely destroyed by Philadelphia. They got whooped up by Seattle, and they got whooped by Detroit as well, too. These are in Seattle. And see, that's the craziest thing about New York. New York falls into a category now to where they have to win these games because they lost to Detroit and Seattle, 2 teams that are chasing those final spots. So when I look at this one, I'm going to take the team that's a little bit more desperate, and it seems like the Giants have played way better football as a desperate team this year. I love them with the +150 in this spot, Jeff. Let's go ahead. We're on the same side about this one. I think that it's not even a late field goal. I think that the Giants just absolutely dominate the time of possession, wind up winning this game by 6 or so, but make it look really, really good at the same time too. So that's what I like today. I like what I like a lot. Giants +150. Will I make them the dog bet of the week? Yeah, I guess, because I don't have anybody else as a money line dog that's that high. So yeah, they're the dog bet of the week as well too, Jeff. So, and I think they're a good dog bet. They're not anything just too crazy You know what I mean? So, but it's kind of cliche too, though. So it is what it is at the end of the day. So that's where I'm going with that one. And let's move forward from there, Jeff. But Giants, let's go ahead and get that victory on Sunday. I like it. Saturday, Christmas Eve. And Christmas just ain't the same no more, man. It just ain't, but it's all good. We'll say that's for a different show, different time, different place. Not my show. All right, so let's go ahead. Bengals, Pats. Jeff's favorite team, the Bengals. He loves him some Joe Burrow. The Pats 7-7, his former favorite team. Just kidding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Jeff is probably the only person that I've met from that area that's not a diehard Pats fan to the core of him. But who was before 2001 though? Let's keep it real, Jeff. Let's keep it real.
I used to like them back then with the old aluminum seats at Schaefer Stadium. Steve Grogan, Steve Nelson, all the Sam Bam Cunningham, Tony Issa. I mean, way back. The Hog, John Hanna, Gino Capoletti. Those were the days. Stanley Morgan, Andre Tippett.
Man, they had cool names though. That's what they really had. And crazy thing is, Tuapasopo's dad played for him as well too.
Mosey.
Yep.
Mosey's Mooses. I used to be a Mosey's Moose. I met him down at Rentham at the Eaglebrook Saloon. He was down there. That's where they used to hang out way back in the day. Mosey Tutupu.
Yep. That's my man too. Lofa.
Yeah.
Lofa is a good guy. I've interviewed him twice. All right, so this one right here is both these teams are playing for their two different things. The Bengals are playing to try to solidify themselves, get themselves a little bit further on down the road to win their division. The Patriots are trying to get into the playoffs. The Patriots pretty much lost their way into the playoffs with that Raider loss this weekend. And that right there, I know that literally almost stopped the whole Cape Cod right there. Jeff could probably hear people throwing their TVs out the window this weekend after that happened. I know that was probably the one weekend where everybody's dogs were barking and cats were running out the house. It's literally like, what's going on? This is madness right now. Why is my owner going crazy right now? Like, did anybody break up their house, Jeff? That's all I need to know. Did you have any neighbors that you saw just a football come out of a window or something like that, glass shattering? None of that stuff happened?
I still think they're in shock, maybe in another day or two.
Okay, because I really thought people were breaking stuff, to be honest with you. I know you didn't break anything, but
I did. I broke my hip laughing. That's how comical it was.
Yeah, that it was pretty funny. And then, the Bengals are, they're America's sweetheart because Cincinnati is not a big city. It's not really a big sports city. They got the Reds. That's fine, but we know that they're not a big market. We know that. And it's really like Ohio. It's like, okay, it's kind of a favor to the state of Ohio because they're fandom in a sense, I think. But I know that Joe Burrow is going to be somebody that they're going to just hand the world to because he has the right look. You know what I mean? He looks like the quarterback. He looks like the guy who can go ahead and, keep your mind at ease. You know what I mean? And I think Joe Burrow has done a great job of growing this year because he had it pretty rough to start the season off. But since that point, the Bengals, I'll have to be honest, they have been the best team in the league since that point. They started off the year and it wasn't good. They started off the year 2-3. Since that point, Jeff, they are now 8-1. That is damn good. And they're 5-0 since their bye. So Cincinnati's just rolling in here really with nothing to lose. And I think that the Patriots really pretty much that right there is a deflator, Jeff. I don't care what anybody says. I think their season is absolutely done. And I'm going to go ahead and take the Bengals money line with the minus 190. And I'm not going to be surprised if Belichick says, this is it. This is it. Michael Jackson, this is it. But from what I'm hearing, they are trying to possibly work on that reunion with Mr. Brady.
I was looking at the numbers while you were talking here, and it's the same money line. Bengals minus 190, Patriots plus 168. And that was the same thing as Tom Brady last week. And I was talking to a lot of people on Sunday. They're like, man, I think that's my dog play. And I was like, listen, it's the biggest trap in the world. There's like everyone, they want you to go run to the window where you can get Tom Brady plus 165 on a money line at home. And obviously they were up 17-0. I got a lot of people poo-pooing me. And at the end, the rest was history. Pops, you are 100% correct. Here's the problem. The line stinks to high heaven. It was a 3 with a 40. Now it's a 3.5 with a 41.5. The public's going to keep pushing it up. That'll be 4 by kickoff. I mean, how can the Patriots bounce back after that loss, and come back on Christmas Eve against it's going to be a sparse crowd as it is. I took the Pats. Now, listen, you're going to call me crazy because, I was on the Bengals last year. And I'm telling you right now, they're the best team in the AFC. Not that they would win in Buffalo in January or even beat Kansas City for the 5th time. This is a tough, tricky spot for the Bengals and the Patriots. Would I be shocked if the Bengals won by 10? No, I wouldn't. Would I be shocked if the Patriots won outright? I wouldn't, Pops. I'm taking the 4. I'm just saying, buyer beware. Anyone jumping. If you haven't been on the Bengal run leading up to this game, stay away. Just stay away. Don't mush the train now. But we'll take the Pats plus 4, Pops.
You know how many mushes we got last weekend, Jeff? That was crazy because I said the Vikings were a mush. The who else was a mush? Thursday Night Football was a mush. Big mush Thursday Night Football, dude. Seriously. Because, literally the whole world was on. I heard Seattle from damn near every syndicated show in America. All these little betting shows on cable network. Oh, the Seahawks look like the winner tonight. You know what I mean? So, and once again, as we always say, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. You know what I mean? But it's never good when you have 90% of with 100% of everybody on the same team. It's a close game still. You know what I mean? We totally forgot the 49ers were just absolutely crushing it with their defense. They could have had Jeff start quarterback last Thursday and still won that damn game. Didn't matter. All right, we move on. Let's go ahead and jump into the Lions and the Panthers. And nobody knows this, but this is one of the more important games in the NFC this weekend, Jeff. Yeah, it sounds crazy at this moment, but peep this. The Lions on the outside of possibly getting in the playoffs very, very soon. They got a big win over Washington that's very significant now for the season. Carolina is 1 game behind the Bucs. The Bucs look like absolute garbage week in and week out. We know this. Jeff, seriously. When have they even dominated a team this season? They're bad. They're really bad. And literally, the Panthers beat them 21-3. And the Panthers could do something that nobody expected them to do. Wind up winning the NFC South simply because they just didn't give up on themselves. And I think if they were to do that, they would possibly keep their head coach. From what I'm hearing, that they do want to keep the interim head coach as well too. And no, they're not being forced to do it either. You know what I mean? Because you know how we keep having forces. People keep getting forced on jobs. You know what I mean? So you do have a good spot, though. You have a good game coming into the weekend. And I think that the Lions are they're exciting right now. A lot of us are enjoying what we see with the Lions. We truly are, because we were able to see this team get built up on Hard Knocks. And Hard Knocks is a very important show to kind of give you an idea of what to expect in the NFL in general. But they've been so lowly for so long that everybody just wants to see them be successful. And I think that the Lions have finally turned that corner. I was never impressed with their coach until like now. You know what I mean? And they've won their last 6 out of 7. They should have won their last 7 in a row, to be honest with you. Really, they could have won 8 in a row because their last significant loss where they really just got whooped on was against the Cowboys. And crazy thing was they was coming out of 5 straight losses before they went on this run. So this team is doing some things that they weren't expected to do, but but don't tell them that. That's the best part about Detroit. Don't tell them that. Only thing that gets you kind of weary about Detroit is the amount of points that they give up game-wise. But let's say the last few games, Jeff, they've been absolutely incredible. They gave 14 to Jacksonville. They gave 23 to Minnesota, and then they only gave 17 to the Jets. This defense is playing much, much better football over this stretch as well, too. And it all started with a great game against Green Bay. So this team has 3 games left on the year. It's Carolina, Chicago, and Green Bay. All very winnable games, but 2 of them are on the road. So we will have to see exactly how much this team really wants it. And I think they want it bad, Jeff. So I'm taking them with the 2.5. I don't even need the money line. I think that they win this game by a touchdown or better.
2 teams, it's funny. As much as the NFL is begging for not to happen, again, this Panthers team just hanging around. And then the Lions team, again, 6-1 their last 7 straight up, 7 in a row against the spread. We took the money line. I feel like a mush here. I haven't been riding them of late. I'm going to jump on them just to win here. Would not be shocked at all to see a Panther, win outright here. But it would be amazing to see this Lion team at 8-7 knocking on the playoff door. But the winner of this game is absolutely still in it. We're going, again, indoor team playing outdoors. Hopefully the weather is better than it was in New York. What do we have for a total here, Pops? We got a 43. We'll go 23-20 Lions, Pops. How's that?
All right. I like it because this is going to be a defensive game, and this one will test the Lions in a sense, in my opinion, because the Panthers do play defense. Let's keep it real. They play a good defensive game, but we know that they give up a lot of points. They can have points where they give up a lot of points, but Detroit is the same way too. But I'm saying when we get to the quarterback situation, I would say that they're much better. You know what I mean? Detroit. But let's all remember what Sam Darnold did to the Lions in his first game of his career too. We all remember that. All right, and sometimes there's just certain teams that you like to beat up on, and hopefully the Lions don't have a mimic performance from that first time around. All right, let's go ahead and get into our next game before we go to our next commercial break, and that's going to be the Falcons and the Ravens. And it looks like that the Ravens are in a good position right now to go ahead and possibly get themselves a nice little sweep over the have they played New Orleans yet? I don't think so. But it looks like that they are in the mood of sweeping. Guess what stat, Jeff, I bet you didn't even know happened this year to Tom Brady. I think it's the first time this ever happened to Tom. He got swept by the AFC North. That's crazy. I don't think Tom Brady ever got swept by one division for a whole season. I don't even think that he's lost more than 2 games to a one division in one season. That's absolutely crazy. But there's not much to talk about here, Jeff. The Falcons are not good, okay? Ritter is not the quarterback of the future. That was kind of obvious in that game. He's going to be a great backup. And the Ravens know what time it is. John Harbaugh knows what time it is. It's time. It's winning time. It's that simple. And so it doesn't matter who shows up against them. They trying to win that game. And they trying to win this game by any means necessary, in my opinion. So I truly do feel like they will be able to get themselves a very, very good win over Atlanta. And the funny part about it is they're 3-2 coming out the bye, but they had a 3-game winning streak going into the bye as well, too. So they're 6-2 over their last 8. And, you know, they were 3-3 to start the season. So that's good, you know, regardless of what anybody thinks. And I know Baltimore just keeps hanging around, and Baltimore knows how to win these close games. So I think that, you know, they got 2 more home games left, and they should win those games. And then they got then they have they have who's going to win the AFC North at the end of the year, in my opinion. So Atlanta and the Ravens, I'm going to be dead honest with you, Jeff. Ravens by 1 million. Hey, you know, when we first started the year, we loved Atlanta on the cover, but Atlanta hasn't covered anything in the last few weeks, and that's crazy to say. And real quick before I let you take the floor, just so I can know that I had that, they were 6-0 to start off against the spread, Jeff. 6-0. I don't think that they've covered a game since. Let's see. They're 8-6 now. Okay, they're 2-6 since that point. That's terrible. So they can't be trusted anymore. So I'm taking the Ravens with the 7.
They have some good young talent. Algier had a big week last week. I love the wide receiver from USC, Drake London. Obviously, Ritter, last play of the game, I don't know what he was thinking either there. He needed to chuck it, and he just runs it for 20 and goes out of bounds like he was going to get a free play or something. Another team, the Ravens, when's the last time they covered? It's been in forever. They've lost Lamar. Hundley comes in there. The only consistent guy on their team is Tucker, and he even missed a field goal last week in Cleveland. Waiting. Is Lamar coming back? Well, let me just check my notes here and see. I assume they will say questionable, but let's do our due diligence here for Pops. And see right here, info, yes, questionable. 6.5 point spread. We bought the hook here. Actually, no, we bought the hook to take it to 6.5. We're going to take the Ravens. Hopefully, they win by 7 and more. An under over a 37. Let's go. Oof. How about Pops? We're going to go 23-13 Ravens. How's that?
All right. Well, it sounds good to me. I just hope that you keep putting 23s on things. I think that the Ravens score 30, 35.
They haven't scored 30 or 35 in a month, meaning combined. It's been forever. It's like watching paint dry.
The last 3 games, you're right, Jeff. I'm looking at it right now. They've been able to get 29 points in total.
Yeah.
So you're on to something there with that. So pretty much, yeah, they haven't been playing. They've been playing good enough football. Not great football, but good enough.
If you go into a playoff game against Buffalo, Kansas City, or Cincinnati, and then you average in the last 3 weeks, they're averaging 10. They're averaging 10 points the last 3 weeks. You score 10 points in a playoff game against Buffalo, Kansas City, or Cincinnati, and you're playing golf. You're done.
Well, I already think that was already in the works anyway, because what has Baltimore really done this season? I think Baltimore is really a team that took advantage of having a pretty easy schedule, to be honest with you.
What they have done is this, and it'll be interesting to see. They can, next year, they can franchise Lamar, which is the top 5 average, so we'll be getting, 37 million? And then they can franchise him again, or they can try to get a quarterback-friendly, a Baltimore Raven-friendly deal. Say, hey, you know what? We'll give you $32 million a year for 5 years, and we'll guarantee 4 of it, or something to that effect. Because Lamar, obviously, he started off well. He didn't do well his last 4 weeks, and then he's been hurt now for 3 weeks. So he's still going to get paid either which way. So, but that this team is going nowhere. Listen, they got rid of Marquise Brown in the offseason. They didn't fulfill it. Bateman wasn't the answer. They have a tight end of Mark Andrews. Their running back situations have been banged up all year. It's a good defense. It's gotten stronger as the year progressed. I still believe in them, but it won't be this year.
Gotcha. All right, we're going to go ahead and take another quick commercial break, and when we get back, it's time to get into some more Christmas Eve games, and then we're going to get into some Christmas Day games. All right, so you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are back with the NFL Bet Exchange. And Santa Anita starts on the 26th of December as well, too. So it starts on Monday.
Giddy up, Pops. Giddy up.
Will I be there on opening day? Maybe, maybe not. I got to go get my calendar, but it's all good. I can make some phone calls and they'll hold that calendar for me too. But it won't be the same no more without my old man, but it's all good. It's all good. He had kind of gave up on it a while ago anyway. He didn't give up on it, but horse racing has done that to a lot of their bettors. You know what I mean? The older bettors has kind of turned them off a little bit with the way that, but they turned them off 20 years ago. You know, it wasn't like they turned them off recently. You know what I mean? It was, you know, the diehards still show up though. You know, because everybody started realizing that them horses will literally just, those horses will put you in the broke house. They truly will. If you really want to go do that every single day of your life, like you really got to have a good amount of money to do that, or you really got to know what the hell you're doing, or you really got to just know how to bet right. You know, if you just say I'm doing my budget's $6 a race, you'll survive at the racetrack. But when you go in there fist full of cash, that you're their favorite customer.
I know that. Listen, God's honest truth. You know, way back in the day, I was a dog guy before a horse guy, and let's just say I walked in there with a fistful of 50s. Actually, let's back it up. I walked into the track with $12, and I left the track with a fistful of 50s. I was the cat's meow. 3 days later, I walked in with those fistful of 50s. I walked out broke, and I owed a teller thousands and thousands of dollars. So trust. I know that feeling. And the funny thing is, again, whether it's reading the daily form, whether it's reading the tote board, for me now, I just read the tote board, late money coming in. I'll take some shots on, you know, win place. I'll do exacta boxes. And, you know, if I like something, I'll play them first, second, and third and some tries or whatever. But if you're going to live at the track, you better have a bankroll that will just to the moon, because you can't be betting a couple $100 a race on, you know, 10, 12 races. And then, of course, have a simulcast with the other races going on in between your races. You go broke.
Right, because I'm going to tell you like this. At the racetrack, you'll get a big hit, and then what your ass will do is, oh, let me go ahead and put half of that on that 3 to 5 at Gulfstream.
And he's still running. He's still running.
And he's still running. And then that horse doesn't even get out the gate. It's like, whoa, okay. All right, then I'll get it back over at Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. Now you ain't got no money to bet. Now we done lost the money to bet at the track we winning at. Just stay at the place you winning at, man. You don't have to jump into somebody else's body.
Damn, I was saving my money for Nakatani in the 8th. I don't even have any money to get him now.
Right. And Nakatani, you said Nakatani ain't probably been out there in 5 years.
No, you're right.
Shout out to Matt. I know Matt. He's a jockey agent. But, you know, we can get into it, but Nakatani has a pretty crazy story why he's not riding anymore. It's not because of skill or anything like that. But a lot of these jockeys are a lot like NFL guys. They're athletes, dude. They're athletes, Jeff. And you know, an athlete's mind is not the same as our minds. Like I'm an athlete too, but I'm talking about professional athletes are much more different than we are. And it's a lot of demons that these guys are dealing with. That's all I can say. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Saints and the Browns. The Browns have now became like everybody's little favorite, even though they're like kind of out the playoffs and everything, Jeff. Like everybody like, man, the Browns, man. Love you, some Browns, man. Deshaun Watson, man. Nick Chubb, man. You know, Browns have been a pain in my side all damn season. I'm going to be dead honest with you because this is the only team I know that literally destroyed their season in the first 6 weeks. Let's keep it real, Jeff. Bad loss to see everything that happened. Great for the Jets. That was supposed to be the Browns season. Think about it. You know what I mean? They were supposed to be 6-3 going into their bye and getting ready for old Deshaun to get there, and none of that happened, Jeff. None of it. So pretty much this game right here is really just a game that they're playing in the NFL final weeks of the season. The Browns still do have playoff hopes. They truly do, but it's very slim. Like they have to win out, and then they have to hope that there's losses in between that as well, too. But when you look at all the teams ahead of them, they've lost to all of them pretty much. Miami, the Chargers, the Jets. So they really are kind of out of this thing already. But the Browns can finish strong with a winning season to give themselves some motivation to go into next year. And the Saints, I don't think they care about winning anymore, Jeff, to be honest with you. Because the Saints have not won in a long time. Like, the Saints have really went in there and just said, well, what the hell am I talking about, Jeff? They just won Sunday. What am I? Just pop. Come on, man. But, yeah, they have lost their last 4 out of 5, including 2 in a row. They needed a bye. They truly did. You know what I mean? And, you know, this team doesn't score a lot of points. And that's okay with the Browns because they haven't been scoring a lot of points lately either. But they do have Deshaun Watson back in the fold. Deshaun Watson brings a different type of confidence for this team as well, too. And you can see it all day. And the Browns 3-3 coming out the bye. You know what I mean? And if they win out, they'll finish the season 9-8. And I think that would be awesome if this team finishes with a winning record. But this will probably be their last winnable game of the season, in my opinion, because these next 2 are 50-50. They got Washington and Pittsburgh coming up after this, and that's on the road. But the Browns should show up in abundance because it's the final home game of the season, and the Browns always bring their best effort for their fans in the final home game of the season. That's something that I do know. But this spread takes me all the way back to like 1992. When have you seen a spread be 32.5, Jeff, in an NFL game?
I saw
in this era, in this time.
No, you haven't. I mean, way back there was one. You know, there was a playoff game, Giants of Minnesota, under over 31.5. Giants winning 31-0 at halftime, and I thought I was a winner because I had the over, and no one scored in the second half. So I haven't seen a total like this in forever.
But what's your thoughts on the game?
This game here, you know, I'm nervous. And as we were going on through the show, the numbers dropped from 3 to 2.5. And the only information I have is Nick Chubb did not practice due to a foot issue. They still have backups there with Kareem Hunt and Dearness Johnson. The line's too low for me. I took the Browns money line here for everyone watching and listening. With that said, buyer beware. This line is too low for me. I mean, Vegas is telling you here, let me see, 17, 13. They're basically telling you first 1 to 17 wins this game. So the Saints and Andy Dalton, I can't wait for the Jameis Winston information to come out. You know, they're not using Kamara effectively. They're not using anyone. There's so much behind the scenes going on with the Saints. It's comical. But this number's starting to make me a little leery here. We were on the Browns last week. I think they get the job done this week. But something's going on here. Keep an eye on that one, Pops. Browns money line.
Do you think possibly Sean Payton might return?
I heard through a source today Sean Payton of the Chargers. Keep an eye on that one.
Well, we'll talk about the Chargers in a second. I talked about the Chargers on the show yesterday, and the way I talked about them, you would think that I was the bolt-up president. Seriously, but the funniest thing about it is, if you ask me as an LA person, who do you prefer a little bit more out the two teams? I always kind of lean towards the Chargers, because the Chargers are like that kid that doesn't have any friends, but he's cool. You know what I mean? He's a cool kid. You know what I mean? But nobody likes to go see him because, you know, he might have some little, his parent, you know, the family, the home life isn't great, but he's a cool kid. You know what I mean? You know, and he still misses home, but he's trying to fit in. You know what I mean? The Rams are like the rich kid that moved back, and I'm better than you, but I had to come back because I didn't like where I was at before, and you know, forcing their way in here. The Rams lost LA's respect when they moved to Anaheim back in the 80s, dude. So,
the people don't understand. I grew up with Dan Fouts, Chuck Muncie, Charlie Joyner, Winslow, and then after them, LT, Phillip Rivers. They were fun. They were always the great 4:00 game. Merlin Olsen. Those were the days, Pops. This is a whole different era. Listen, would Sean Payton help this team? Damn straight. A coach of that caliber is flocking to the quarterback, and from there they can do whatever they want. So it makes sense to me. Will it happen? Who the hell knows? But it would definitely make sense to me.
Staley hasn't been good to me at all, but it's all good. You know what I mean? Staley, he shows that he can be a good head coach, but I think that he trusts the analytics a little bit too much. But this season, he's kind of scaled that back a little bit, and that's actually been beneficial for the Chargers moving forward this year as well, too. You know what I mean? They got to out of the way, huh?
The going for it on 4th and 1 from your 29 still got to stop. Take the 3 with pride. It's got to stop. I mean, the going. Listen, he's got a running back that in 2 years in a row that has stayed healthy. Got 20 touchdowns last year. Leads the NFL this year with over 600 receiving yards and over 600 rushing yards. And his 2 wide receivers have not been healthy all year. They got to really find themselves the next wide receiver to pass the torch. They're in a tough division. Your favorite, Patty Mahomes, isn't going anywhere. They need to figure it out in Denver, and I don't know what they're going to do in Vegas. Carr won't be the answer next year either. So tough division. You got to figure it out.
But we got to keep moving. But my thing is, who's better than Carr that's in the draft? I don't have anybody better than Carr that's in the draft.
They'll probably get a vet. What's wrong? Like, hey, I got something for you. You ready? Don't fall off your stool. Who did Josh McDaniels draft when he was with Bill?
What, the bum that just lost Sunday?
No. Jimmy G. Jimmy G.
We'll see. Jimmy G ain't better than Carr.
He can manage a game better than Carr. Did you see what happened to Carr? First half, they got him off his spot. He's like Tom Brady. Once you get him off your spot, he just a deer in the headlight, wants to get rid of the ball. He hates contact. The second half, he had nowhere to go. He got smoked. I'm just saying that Jimmy G with a Devontae Adams, a Hunter Renfro, a Darren Waller, a Josh Jacobs, who probably will take the money and go elsewhere. I'm just saying, listen, you want to bring Carr back? Hey, it's not his fault that they're under 500. I'm just saying it is what it is. I'm not saying there's anyone out there that's better. I mean, Kirk Cousins. You want Kirk Cousins?
Man, the Raiders need some defense. That's what they really need at the end of the day. If the Raiders this is the answer to all the Raiders' problem. A good middle linebacker. It's that simple. The Raiders, every time they have a game-changing middle linebacker, they're absolutely exceptional defense. I've never not seen them be a bad defense with a great middle linebacker. But they haven't had one since like Ray Bickert.
No, and the NFL has changed to offense. Offense. I was listening to your LA favorite this morning in his opening monologue there, Colin, talking about that Green Bay's just got to go all in for the offense. The hell with the defense, and Denver tried to win on defense against an offensive division, and how are you going to compete with the LA Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs? You got to score more points than them. And the Raiders got offense, like you said, they got no defense. You have to have some semblance of defense. The Chiefs have some semblance. Denver has some semblance. The Raiders have zero.
Right. Because the Raiders defense can play one great half, but then they don't play a bad second half. It's not consistent at all. So that's the biggest problem with them. But let's talk about two teams that are consistent on defense. That's the Commanders and the 49ers. Commanders are literally, you know what? I heard some big BS this morning. I really do like Carthon, but sometimes he says some things that are just, but I know he says it because he heard some things, right? And they said well, it's not that he heard it, it's that they literally it was public knowledge. But one of these silly reporters asked Rivera, "Are you ready to move on from Taylor Heineke? Why would you be moving on from Taylor Heineke? And he's the one that literally took you out of being 4-10 right now to now being 7-6-1 with a chance at the playoffs. And I think they have a better shot at the playoffs right now than the Giants do, even losing to the Giants, simply because Washington has the coach that knows how to win these tough December games. And I think that we really look at Rivera. We don't give him enough props, Jeff. Let's be honest. Rivera is a hell of a coach. And I know if you gave Rivera the Chargers, they would be the best team in the league. Just think about that. You know what I mean? And, that's the thing about Coach Rivera is that if you gave him more talent, they can be good. But he's really doing a great job with a middle-of-the-road team. Let's keep it real, because we all know Dan Gilbert really does care about winning, but he's kind of trying to keep himself, situated. But this team is 6-2-1, Jeff, since starting the year off 1-4. That's incredible. And that's all because of Heineke. Now, going into this game, they got a tough San Francisco team, and San Francisco comes into this one bad boy, and they are cooking right now. 7 in a row after a 4-4 start to the season, 3-4 start to the season, actually, Jeff. 3-4 start. And this team is cooking since that point. Haven't lost a game. You know what I mean? 7 in a row. So they're about due, to be honest with you. And I know everybody says that Brock Purdy is the next coming of Joe Montana and Steve Young. But all I see is the next coming of Steve Bono, because Steve Bono had some good games as well, too. And literally, he was just holding the fort down for a great team that was already great as is. All right. So I truly do think that the Commanders have so much more to lose in this game. So they will bring that hat. And if you want to put anybody up against a big favorite in a game, it's the Commanders. This is the same team that won as a plus 15, right, Jeff? Plus 16, whatever they were, against the Steelers. And about this time of the year, this team figures out ways to win games. So I'm going to have to take them with the plus 7.5, Jeff. Let's go, Commanders.
I'm right with you. I think this is a great spot. I think everyone expects them to roll over and die after the loss against the Giants. We bought the half point, took them up to 8. Going back to that Thursday night game, the whole world was waiting for Brock Purdy to lay an egg because it was his first road game. Well, now he comes back home. He's a fat cat. The San Fran's the second choice in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl behind the Eagles. I like Washington to cover. I wouldn't be shocked if they had a chance late with the ball, with a chance not just to cover, but to win this game. So we took the plus 8. There's an under-over of 39 right now. They're telling you basically 24-17, somewhere in that area, Pops. If the Commanders can get more than 17, if they can get to that 2021 number, look out, Pops.
All right. So there it is. There it is. All right. So pretty much we have ourselves we got what was going to be the game of the week, but it's starting to kind of lose that luster because you have everybody's new favorite quarterback out, Jalen Hurts, who's possibly going to be out, sore shoulder. Cowboys going into this one fresh off of a loss as well too against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Poor showing against the Texans the week prior to that. So the Cowboys come into this one ready to get some revenge. But a lot of people have to realize this about the Cowboys: the Cowboys have lost one game in division play in the last few years, and that was to Philadelphia. Okay, so against the division, the Cowboys are really good. But I think that what happens here is we went from a game that went from a 1 to a 6 very quickly. I saw the opening lines, Jeff, Sunday night, and this one was a 1.5 to the Cowboys. Now it's a 6. I think when we do this, when the betting gets a little too crazy, you got to go the other way. I don't care what's going on with the Eagles. The Eagles have the best team in football right now. And if the best team in football shows up on Saturday, they'll cover in this game. I love the +6 with the Eagles. I'm not saying they win, but the Cowboys are going to have to really fight for this one.
I bought the half. I took Dallas -5.5. I took them on a bounce back spot. I took them in regards to Jalen Hurts. I too saw the 1.5 to 3 to 6. Listen, it's Minshew time, and he has won games in the past with Jacksonville. He will play the game not to lose. Look for a steady dose of Miles Sanders. Let's see how effective A.J. Brown is. Let's see how effective Devontae Smith is. Is Goddard back? The Philly D is going to be putting pressure on Dak. Who wins the turnover battle? The Dallas D has been horrific the last 2 weeks against the Texans, against the Jaguars this past week. Close game, maybe a late turnover. Cowboys -5.5 for us, Pops.
All right. Okay, let's move on to Saturday night, 50-year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. And people call this the greatest game that was ever played as well, too. Greatest play ever made. So you have yourself a very historic game in a sense, and you got two teams with the same record, 6-8, going at it Christmas Eve, and it's an anniversary date of the game as well too, because the game was played on Christmas Eve as well. And you do have this Raiders team that is looking to keep this thing going, get themselves a winning season. Playoffs are still kind of there, but the playoff hopes are kind of gone because losing to the Rams is huge. If they beat the Rams, then they are literally sitting right there on the doorstep right behind the Chargers. And you already have a Miami team that's kind of fallen off as is. This could have been huge for this Raiders team moving forward, but it wasn't meant to be. And I think that the Raiders still want to salvage a great season. I know Carr wants to still show that he got it. And hopefully we want to still make sure Devontae Adams gets his touches as well, too, because I truly do need him these next few weeks for my fantasy team. So, I know I'm probably in a bad spot now, but, hopefully the Raiders still find it in them to win football games, and guys don't just say, you know what, I'm sitting out. I'm tired. I got my stats, because Devontae could just say I'm wrapping it up because he got his stats for the year. He has the stats. You know what I mean? And I think that all in all, the Raiders do want to have a great finish. And this is the Steelers. This is a rivalry game. They're going to show up for this one. I love the Raiders in this spot, +120. Let's go. Even though Tomlin is dangerous here in December, I still like the Raiders to win this one, even though these guys are getting really good right now in the Steelers as well too. I can't even front. You know, they were 4-8. They've won their last 2 in a row, and they are confident. So, you know, this is going to be a tough one, but Raiders should win it plus 120.
It's a close one, an absolute coin flip. The line opened 141. It's now 2.5. I don't know if you'll see 3 by kickoff. It's Tomlin. It's December. I took them on the -2.5, minus the 120. I just got, listen, I wouldn't be shocked to see the Raiders travel here and win. I've seen them win in these spots before, coming off the big win against the Pats. I think it's an absolute coin flip. 38.5. First one to 20 or 21 wins, Pop. I'm hoping that it's the Steelers 21-17. How's that?
All right. So there it is. 21-17. Jeff has the Steelers in that spot. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. 2.5 to the Steelers for Jeff. So there it is. Let's go ahead and move into our Sunday game, and that's going to be a good one between the Packers and the Dolphins. And we're going to be moving pretty quickly here. So pretty much Packers-Dolphins. This one is kind of an easy call in a sense. I know that the Packers you know what, Jeff? I'm not even going to get into a whole bunch of explanations. The Packers burnt up a lot of money for me this year. I don't care what they do. I don't care about Aaron Rodgers being this great quarterback. I don't care about the Green Bay tradition. I don't care about anything Green Bay got going on. They are money burners. They do not get they're not going to get no love from me, Jeff. Dolphins all day. They win this one game by 10 or better. Let's just keep it real. Go ahead and tell me what you think.
Well, again, beat the Bears bye week, come back, win on Monday night. They're still alive. They're breathing that hope. Miami played their ass off on Saturday night in Buffalo. Now they're back home. The number 6. I took the hook. I bit the big one here, meaning I'm going to take the cheese with the Packers plus 6. Wouldn't be shocked to see the Dolphins win, obviously, by 7 or more. An over of 49 right now. They're expecting some points. Probably honestly think that this game will probably land like 30 to 20 pops, but hoping the Packers can cover the 6.
All right. So Jeff is taking the 6 with the Packers. He expects a close game, just like every Miami game is close. Literally every game Miami played this year, other than like 3 of them that they won, was close. And the one game that they got smoked by the Jets in. But this team is always playing close games, so what's new, right? All right, so we have the Broncos and the Rams in probably the most ridiculous Christmas game of all time. But I know they're thinking with this, it's a game that's on Nickelodeon, and they were going to have 2 cool quarterbacks be the stars of it, Stafford and Russell Wilson, 2 guys that are, those type of, commercial savvy quarterbacks, all that stuff. So the game kind of talks to, and you know what? It's LA too. So, Nickelodeon's in Los Angeles. So they just wanted to make sure that, they were here for the game. But this is a Nickelodeon game. And literally this game shouldn't even be on TV, but they're going to have it on TV, Jeff. So, just like our night game has no business being on as the Sunday night football game. You know what I mean? You're going to take the Raiders and Patriots out, but you didn't want to take this one out? You didn't want to flex this one out, bud? Oh, because Tom's a part of that one. That's why. All right, so I'm going to keep it real, Jeff. I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to be real simple here because both these teams are lousy, 4-10 records, 4-10. I don't know if Russell Wilson's playing. Don't really care. But I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to go ahead and do this, Jeff. I'm going to go ahead and just take the Rams to win the game, okay?
I followed your lead here, and the more I look into the situation here, I mean, all right, Denver, questionable for Wilson, questionable for Sutton, Donald questionable, Wolford questionable. I'll tell you what, all 4 of those guys aren't playing. It's kind of comical that Denver is favored in LA. It's up to 2.5 now. Maybe that means Wilson maybe is leaning towards playing. There's no reason for him to play another snap the rest of the year. We had a bad year, Russ. We need you next year. Just start training for next year. We took the Rams on the money line, -105. It is what it is. An under-over of 36.5. We'll go 2017 the Rams, Pops.
All right. Sorry, Jeff. Which I ran out of ran out of room on here. But I see Jeff is taking the Rams. We're both taking the same play. So we're both taking the Rams. All right. So there it is with that. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our Sunday night football game. And that's going to be one that we're going to be real quick with as well, too. Let's just keep it real. The Cardinals have no hope. And they're not winning another game for the rest of the year because they have to make sure they're 4-13 so they can fire this coach. Okay, Jeff, I told you our first episode of the year that this guy was not at the end of the year. I don't even know how he made it to December. To be honest with you, this guy is absolutely terrible. And you know what? I like Cliff Kingsbury when he was a college football player, when he was an offensive coordinator, and probably the first 6 games at Texas Tech. But since that point, he's just been an absolute thorn in my side, money burner. They've had moments, though, where they did come up for me. So, I ain't going to be too mad at the Cardinals, but this is a total waste. The Cardinals are the absolutely abomination when it comes to NFL franchises. They talk about bad franchises, but they don't mention them enough. I'm taking the Bucs to go ahead and get a pageantry win here on Sunday Night Football because what's his name is going to just Collinsworth is just going to tell us how great Brady is, regardless of how bad of a season he's having. It doesn't matter what Brady did last year or 2 years ago. We only worry about right now. Everybody else gets judged for right now, but Brady. I don't like that.
Bought the hook, Bucs -5.5 for us. Again, we talked at length. Both Murray and the quarterback, the coach got extensions. They're eating crow on both of them. Murray is not liked in the locker room. I don't know what they're going to do. They're stuck there, I would assume. I don't think Sean Payton would even bother to go back over to there if he had a chance to go to the Chargers. Must win for the Bucs. The Bucs stops here. Expect them to win by 7 or more. Under over of 41. Low scoring affair because why? Cardinals can't score. I'll go 24-13 Bucs.
All right, and you meant to say the Cardinals, right? Because you said Chargers.
What's that?
If Sean Payton doesn't want to go to the Cardinals, right?
Oh, yeah. No, he doesn't want to go to the Cardinals. Why would you want to go to the Cardinals if the Charger job was available?
Right. Well, who wants to go to the Cardinals, man? Like, seriously, they just better – you know what? Perfect guy, Lane Kiffin. Since you guys just want to go get offensive minds and things like that won't perform the way that you need them to perform, just go get Lane Kiffin. That had me on my back when they said, well, Lane Kiffin should be getting calls from the NFL. Lane Kiffin should never get calls from the NFL. What are you talking about? Like, when you fell with the Raiders the way that he fell, you don't get another chance in the NFL, dude.
You need to get a defensive-minded coach, bring back Desert Swarm, and then work on the offense. I mean, you got a division that you got the best defense in the NFL with the Niners. You had a good defense with the Rams. We know about Seattle and the 12th man. You can't bring in an all-offensive guy and just get eaten alive. So I'd work from the ass end forward. I'm not saying he has to be all defense, but I definitely wouldn't be going to the college ranks to find my next coach. That's for sure.
All right, we got Chargers at Colts, and I'm going to be honest with you because it's going to look weird with the pick I give out, but I'm doing this because the Chargers are the one team that just has to play a close game every single week. It does not matter who they're playing against. They could be playing against the Riverside School of the Deaf. It's still going to be a tough game for the Chargers. And this is incredible to me because they do this with every team in the NFL, not just the bad ones, not the good ones, not the middling ones, everybody. So all in all, you could say they are the most consistent team in the NFL at being consistently at a point to where they really make you want to pull your hair out. So pretty much I'm going to be dead honest with you. The Chargers don't lose a game for the rest of the year. They're going to the playoffs. They're going to be 11-5. They're going to be 11-6 going into the playoffs this year, Jeff. I guarantee. But the Colts cover because they just gave up the biggest lead in any NFL game, any game ever. 33 points, dude. 33 points. That's the equivalent of the game that the Indians were able to come back in where they were down 12 runs in the ninth inning. So that's like exactly the same exact situation. Seeing crazy comebacks in baseball. Haven't seen crazy comebacks like this in the NFL. College, yes, but not the NFL. So I'm taking a plus for Colts because that's the only way we can go, right, Jeff?
No doubt. I was the same way. I bought a half point. Colts at 4.5. A total right now pops blah 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 46.5 to 47. 24-23 final pops. How's that?
That sounds good to me. What you saying? Okay, that sounds good to me. 24-23. Hopefully it's the Chargers. And I know I'm Charger homering right now, but you know what? It would be really fun to see the Chargers make the playoffs this year. It really would because Herbert deserves it. And I say this just to end my point because they were having the team huddle right after they won that game against the Dolphins, was it? And Herbert made this face at Coach like, no, Coach, I don't want to do Victory Monday. I want us to get back into that tape room and see what was going on with that game. I said, that's that Brady mentality. You know what I mean? I said, that's the guy that you wanted. That's the guy that you want as your starting quarterback. He truly is. And I think that the Chargers, that alone sparked, and I already liked the kid, but I like him even more now. And I think that goes to show you that he's very dedicated to winning football games for that team. And I think that they can put it in the back of their head that this is the time for us to be a dominant team. Let's go ahead and win this these last three. But knowing the Chargers, they ain't going to do that.
I expect a close game. I expect to come down to the wire. I'd like to see, honestly, Saturday win a couple more games, so maybe he gets an opportunity next year. We'll see there. But other than that, it's a close game, and 24-23, late second field goal by Bagley, Chargers win.
Right, and you know what? I'm with you. I think Saturday deserves more of an off season. I think that if you let Saturday actually set up the team without everybody and their mama trying to have an opinion about what's going on with the Colts, they should have never questioned the Colts, in my opinion, because the Colts are irrelevant. So who cares who they hired as their head coach? Seriously, who cares? But then they want to make it an issue with the race. They want to make it an issue. Why couldn't you let Reggie Wayne? Sometimes it's just Jeff Saturday just has a way better relationship with the owner, and that's all it is. And he couldn't get Peyton, so he got the center. Jeff Saturday, he loved those two. So it is what it is at the end of the day.
Saturday in the park.
Yeah.
You think it was the 4th of July.
Jeff is not going on American Idol anytime soon, but it's okay. We'll take his vocals here. But we do got to wrap it up. I'm sorry, Jeff. I know we went a little bit over, but it's all good. You'll make it to your show. It's all right. So go ahead.
No, I have 3 minutes to go. I just wanted to wish you, your family, everyone watching and listen, a happy New Year. We'll be back next week to talk about the new year. I'm sorry, a Merry Christmas this week.
New Year's is next week.
And we'll talk about a Happy New Year next week. Both have had great years up to this point. A couple more weeks left. Just pick and choose on what we get out there. We'll be back next Tuesday, and we'll be talking about the new year. But God bless you and your family, Pops.
Same to yours as well, too, brother. All right, so this is the NFL Bet Exchange with the primetime capper, Pop DiBiase, and the man himself, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we are out of here. Guys, have a beautiful day, and then be ready for the primetime angles coming up in about the next hour. So, yep, it is what it is, and we are out of here.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by the Prime Wave Media Group.